as well as Dan in the NFL and them Cowboys. Let's talk about Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. They've lost 2 in a row. While Prescott has completed nearly 2/3 of the passes he's thrown in those games, he's been picked off 4 times and thrown 2 touchdown passes. Jerry Jones said yesterday that Dak's recent struggles will not affect his chances for a long-term deal.
Well, first of all, the narrative about his financial as opposed to how he's playing is frankly laughable. It's just not that way. It's too much on both ends of that for the team. It's too much for Dak to equate his performance stats or one loss here these first 2 or 3 games. Let me get that real clear. It is not impacting that with me at all.
Well, Dak's numbers have taken a huge hit the last 2 games as his completion percentage and QBR have dropped significantly. It's worth noting the Cowboys' first 3 opponents are currently a combined 2-12, while their 2 most recent opponents are a combined 8-2. Great to have Dan Graziano, Ryan Clark, and Domonique Foxworth with us here. Give us an update here on the negotiations. Where are we on this process?
Really not changed from the last couple of weeks. Look, they've been in contact with Dak Prescott and his agent Todd France since the summer. And, you know, the Cowboys have offered a substantial number. The Dak side has asked for a more substantial number, and they haven't gotten to it. But Jerry's point here, like 2 weeks ago, it was like, did the Cowboys cost themselves money by waiting this long? Now it's, did Dak cost himself money by, you know, losing a couple of games? Like, covering the Cowboys is crazy because, you know, everything changes week to week. And that's what Jerry's trying to say. Look, they want him. They want to sign him long term. They want to commit to him. It's a matter of finding the number. It could happen this week. It could happen next March. It could happen a year and a half from now. They want to commit to this player, and I don't think they're going to change that opinion based on they lost to the
Packers. The number could jump next week after they play the Jets, right? This weekend, right? So what's wrong right now?
Ain't nothing jumping against the Jets but Dak's stats.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, and the price tag, right? If you're going week to week. So what's wrong if you look at them against good teams? What's been the issue the last 2 weeks?
I mean, I think it's been 2 weeks, and the overreaction to Dak Prescott, and frankly, the overreaction to the Cowboys. Jerry Jones loves it because it keeps them in the news cycle, and it makes them more and more popular, makes them more and more money. But it is kind of absurd. I think he's right. It's laughable to think that 2 weeks is going to change the way they perceive him. He should be the highest paid quarterback in the league because it seems like for the last 25 years, that's what we've been doing. When a good franchise level starting quarterback becomes a free agent, he becomes the highest paid quarterback. It frustrates me that all of a sudden we want to change it. People seem to want to change that precedent when it comes to Dak Prescott.
Okay, highest paid because of the market or highest paid because he's the best quarterback? Is it just because of the market, right?
I mean, how dare you even ask me that question?
Well, I'm making sure we're clarifying.
He's not the best question.
I'm making sure we're clarifying here.
I mean, yeah, he's not the best quarterback in the league. We all know that. But he is a second-tier quarterback. Yeah. There's one tier of quarterbacks that include guys like Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, who plays on a significant discount. Then there's another tier, and I think Dak is there. Dak is good. Dak is fairly consistent, and Dak has the ability to take his game to elite and big moments, as he's done in the playoffs in the 3 times or the 2 times that he's been to the playoffs.
I'm clearing your mentions. That's why I wanted you to clarify.
I love having monsters in my mentions. Come back.
The other side of it is, and they're going to have people that are going to point to these 2 games and say that Dak Prescott can't carry a team. But you can look at Jared Goff and some of the things that he's done. He's had Todd Gurley. He's had Sean McVay. And so if you want to be on either side of this argument, you can. But Dominique's exactly right. It's his turn, and when it's your turn, you get the money. The thing that can help Dak Prescott or change the amount of money that the Dallas Cowboys are willing to give him is win a Super Bowl. Now, he wins a Super Bowl, he's going to be able to go in and demand whatever he wants, but that is still a team accomplishment. Dak Prescott has not changed my opinion of his game, whether it be the first 3 games or the last 2.
He's getting paid on 3+ years, not 2+ games. And the fact of the matter is 2 division titles in 3 years, possibly a 3rd this year. They're still in first place. I think if you're Dak Prescott and his agent, you have a strong case.
You made the statement that you can be on both sides of this argument if you want to find reasons to be. You actually can't. There's only one side of this argument, because if you say that it's because of people around him, you can say the same thing about Goff, about Wentz, about Breeze, about everybody. Everyone has help.
I got help here on the set.
You don't need it, though.
All right, let's go. The Giants got rumors that, hey. We're wearing green for him, despite rumors that Saquon Barkley could return from the high ankle sprain for Thursday night's game in Foxborough against the Patriots. Both Barkley and Giants head coach Pat Shurmur downplayed that Tuesday. While no decision's been made, Barkley admitted the ankle's not near 100%. He's the franchise. Barkley's the headliner. How about this growing list of injured Giants? They could be without their top 4 guys in terms of yards from scrimmage Thursday. Good luck, Daniel Jones, when you see Evan Ingram, Barkley, Shepard, and Gallman there. And Shepard and Gallman, on a serious note, both dealing with concussion issues. So what's your level here as we talk about the Patriots and their wins this season? When you look at their opponents, the combined record, how about 5-18, and 4 of those are coming from the Bills. So how do you measure what the Patriots are doing right now?
Dan, you could do this because you get to report on these teams and you see everything about both the Giants and the New England Patriots. Do you think it matters that the Patriots have played this type of schedule?
I don't think it matters because when you're the Patriots, you're thinking bigger picture, right? You're not going to judge. Bill Belichick's not judging his team on how it has played in these 5 games. He's judging his team versus his experience of January and February football, and are we prepared for that? And I think that's why you're going to see the Patriots not act complacent.
Right.
I think you're going to see the Patriots go out and see what's on the trade market here the next couple of weeks. At wide receiver, position they're obviously looking. They had Antonio Brown, obviously. We all know about that. So I think the Patriots are circumspect enough that they will approach it the right way.
But I think it's disingenuous of any of us to pretend like it matters who the Patriots have played, because the subtext of this entire dynasty is they've always kind of had an easy schedule because their division has always kind of been bad. So
ain't no kind of in it.
Yeah, their conference been bad, but
for 15 years.
They are like a college team in that they get the benefit of the doubt, like a great college team. Like, I assume Alabama's going to be good until proven otherwise. And the same thing is true of the Patriots. As long as they have Belichick, as long as they have Brady, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. So the fact that they haven't played anybody, you could consider the Bills somebody.
New Mexico State, Southern
It don't matter.
Illinois.
You still Alabama.
But the thing about the New England Patriots is we've had these conversations in years previous, right? We've always, there was a loss to Kansas City a couple of years ago. There was a loss to Miami last year. And we want to see the downfall of this team. But let's just lean on history right now and say that they beat who they need to beat. And when it comes down to January, February football, they'll be prepared to win games.
You could be co-host. I see you ask those questions to Dan. I'm just bringing it
Well,
to you.
because
I know Dan has a lot of info because we work together.
Let's go around the NFL with Dan Graziano. And Dan, the head of the NFLPA, D. Smith, has been visiting teams for a few weeks. Those visits wrap up Thursday. Why is that significant here?
Well, because he can get back to the bargaining table. They had a little quick meeting last week in Jacksonville where he was with him and negotiators from the owner's side, but they can start negotiating again in earnest here later this week or next week, and that's the hope, is that they get back to the table and hopefully get something done at some point this season.
All right, what's the latest on Vontaze Burfict's appeal on his season-long suspension?
Appeal was heard yesterday afternoon. That news could come down any time. Oftentimes it comes down same day, but I think since both sides expect some sort of suspension to come out of this, there probably wasn't a rush to get it done last night.
All right, no rush. The Jets are playing it smart here with Sam Darnold. When will we see this kid?
Oh, they announced yesterday that he's going to play on Sunday, start against the Cowboys. So he's ready to play. He had first-team reps in practice last week. They were hoping he'd be cleared to start.
Oh, it looked like he had first-team reps last week.
So yeah, right. Obviously,
Luke Falk didn't like he had none.
But they were just waiting for them to get
Spleen,
clearance
right?
on the spleen issue because of mono, and they can't subject him to contact.
I don't have a spleen, but I'd be worried about mine behind the Jets.
A lot of us were worried, guys, about this. This hit Sunday on Mason Rudolph. Seemed like he'd be out for a while. What are we hearing about his status?
I think he's in the concussion protocol. I'm sorry, I was still hung up on Ryan's spleen comment. Mason Rudolph's in the concussion protocol, so he could be clear. I know it sounds crazy. We're looking at this image. He could conceivably be cleared to start Sunday. It's too early to know. The concussion protocol varies from player to player, from concussion to concussion. He's got to meet certain steps throughout the week, same as anybody else who has a concussion. Josh Allen cleared concussion protocol with the Bills in 1 week. A week ago, it does happen. But again, it's going to be hard for people to get their minds around that based on what it looks like.
The optics, they play a huge role here. I understand this team is 1-4, but you could still play in this division, right? When you look at potentially 9 wins could win the division. But how does this look that he'll be back on the field potentially playing a week later after that hit?
Absurd. Like, I imagine if I were Commissioner Goodell or I was someone who worked in NFL, I'd be calling the Steelers and saying, I don't care if he passes the protocol, you keep that guy on the bench, because having him stumbling off the field because his brain got hit so hard that he could not communicate with his legs to work properly, with Ryan Shazier in the background kind of hobbling around. Like, all of that imagery is so bad. And if you send him back out there this week and he happens to get hit again, whether it's connected to the week prior or not, that's a bad look. And frankly, even if he doesn't get hit, if we have to watch those images over and over again and we put him back out there just a few days later, I think that's a bad look for the league, and it's not worth the risk for the Steelers.
I don't necessarily care about the league and the optics and how this looks, even though they seem to in most situations. I will say this about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I had 2 concussions in 3 weeks, and I cleared protocol each time. I didn't miss a game, and that was because I went through the steps. I passed each step as I was supposed to go along, and I was able to play. And then there's another situation, speaking of the spleen, I had at least spoken to enough people and assembled a team that could take me back to Denver. And if I had any complications again, they felt like I would be okay. I go into a meeting with Coach Tomlin. I go into a meeting with the Rooney family, with the trainers, with the doctors, and I'm begging to play. It's the Tim Tebow playoff game. Coach Tomlin looks at me. He says, if you were my son, I would not allow you to play, so I can't let you do that. So I do know that this team cares about the players. They'll do the right thing by the player. And if Mason Rudolph clears concussion protocol and they can come out and say that beyond certainty of a doubt that he's okay to go, I think it's okay to let him do it.
How does the union view this here, Dan?
Well, the union's upset about what happened Sunday when the cart wouldn't work and he had to get up and be walked off the field. Now, the league has been clear in saying, look, they ruled out a spinal injury. There was another cart available if he needed it. But, you know, the union they both try to work on enforcing the concussion protocol, so they'll ask questions and make sure it was followed. But, yeah, obviously they're upset about the optics to Domonique.
Well, the best news we could say is that we're even talking about him potentially playing, considering how we saw that and what it looked like,
he
right?
was released from the hospital Sunday night and apparently is doing okay, you know.
I mean, but there's so much we don't know about these hits. So it's better safe than sorry.
All right, we're going to keep an eye on it also. Now, let's go to the NBA. More fallout from Rockets GM Daryl Morey. Protesters in Hong Kong. Wednesday in Shanghai, an NBA Cares event involving the Lakers was canceled hours before it was scheduled to start. The NBA said that it was not their decision to cancel the event. Since then, the NBA signage has been removed at events promoting Thursday's game between the Lakers and the Nets. For much more on this story, Rachel Nichols joins us from China. And Rachel, good morning to you first off. What's the latest there from Shanghai?
Yeah, you mentioned the signage. So right across from the Player Hotel was a 25-story banner that featured Anthony Davis's face, LeBron James' face, Kyrie Irving's face, advertising this game. And all day today, there was a lone construction worker on a cherry picker who was ripping it off of the building. So the players naturally have a lot of questions. Is this game still going to happen on Thursday? They had the chance to meet with Adam Silver during the day today. They asked him that question. He told them that the game is going to go forward as of now. That's the NBA's plan, although they're very dependent on the Chinese government for that to happen. I'm also told there was some frustration in the room of players being put in an unfair position. They feel like they've been asked to do media and answer questions. They can't really answer. In fact, media availability here today was postponed. We'll have to find out if we ever hear from the players here in China. In the United States, however, we are starting to hear from players talk about this. This is what James Harden had to say today.
Yeah, we all have freedom of speech. That's the world we live in. You know, everybody should, how they feel and their thought process, be able to speak it. You know, obviously some people are going to feel some type of way, some people are going to agree. That's just the world we live in. So, I'm here for Adam Silver.
Harden has been supportive, as you heard there, of Adam Silver. He's also been supportive of the Chinese fans. And that's the other thing that the players here right now are experiencing. When they've been to China on individual trips with their sneaker company, they normally get a pretty wild reception. It's one of the most fun things for NBA players coming over to this part of the world. That hasn't been the case here because of all of the controversy with the government. What would usually be hundreds, maybe even 1,000 fans gathering to see them get off the bus or go to certain events has turned into just a much more thin crowd, dozens of fans maybe, Kevin. And in fact, those fans, while they're eager to come out and see these players, they don't want people to really know it. There were some fans that greeted the Lakers bus last night, but as soon as NBA entertainment cameras came over to show them being excited about the Lakers, we saw a bunch of fans hide their faces because they didn't want to be on record supporting the NBA. That is a huge change from what we've seen over here in the past.
Rachel Nichols giving us great perspective over at Shanghai as we will continue to follow this developing story throughout the day on ESPN. Well, the only baseball game last night, Justin Verlander pitching on 3 days rest in a Game 4 versus the Rays. They could try and shut things down and go face the Yankees next, but Tommy Pham had a different story. Mark Teixeira jumping in, and this is in the first inning. It set the tone for the Rays.
Yeah, and Tommy Pham is one of those emotional leaders for the Rays. Verlander left the ball up all night long, and the Rays made him pay.
You see the experience and the environment at the Trop. I love it. 35,000 waving those yellow towels. How about Verlander? He gives up 3 runs in the first inning. In the first 3 starts against the Rays, he gave up only 1 run.
Yeah, well, this is a product of Verlander not pitching on full rest. All season long, he had 4 days or more rest, and this is what happened.
And this is the moment, the game changer now. Feels like Jose Altuve is going to jumpstart this offense for the Astros, the green light. How about the perfect relay? Kiermaier to Adames to Darno at home.
Old school defense. This is baseball at its best. When you can have a relay play like this that wins a ball game, man, it makes the whole team feel good.
Altuve was moving too, and a beautiful tag right there. Wonderful play of fundamentals. And then Adames, how many times did we see this? You're feeling good about your defense, and then bye-bye baseball.
Well, another hanging slider there right down the middle from Verlander. Willie Adames is the number 9 hitter on the Rays team. The guy came up huge for the Trop.
All right, now the place is rocking. Verlander, 3 2/3, gave up 7 hits, 4 earned, and then Blake Snell coming in on the buff, the Cy Young winner. Runners on the corners in the 9th, and Alvarez. This is fantastic work pitching.
Yeah, Blake Snell comes in. This is a starter. He came in to get the last 2 outs and was absolutely filthy.
Yuli Gurriel on the at the plate now in the box, and then the grounder. This looks like it's going to be a single, but the shift works.
The shift always works nowadays, Kevin. Brings back bad memories for me, I'll tell you that much.
Bad night for Verlander. Recapping here, Rays win 4-1.
The low-hanging fruit is to sit there and say that this was short rest, and that's the reason why. I don't think so. I felt good. Body felt good physically. Just didn't execute the way I needed to.
Did you do what you said? Did you shock the world?
I think so. I mean, we've made it this far. I think that's pretty safe to say. But we're not content with this. We want to win one more and keep this thing going, and we plan on doing just that.
All right, check this out. The Rays have been at their best this postseason with their backs against the wall. They are 3-0 when facing elimination, including the wild card game. They've outscored their opponent 19-5 in those games. Back here with Mark Teixeira. We take a look at Game 4, a little closer look. All right, we're talking about the guys that were the World Series favorites entering. They won 107 games. And when you look at their rotation, why are we in this position where Verlander's pitching on 3 days rest for Game 4?
I understand it because you want to put your best guys out there. That being said, Justin Verlander is probably the Cy Young winner. 34 starts this year, full rest every single start. And he says it's not because of the short rest he felt good. It was just that he had a bad slider. I think he had a bad slider because he's on short rest. And so when you have an Astros team that won 107 games doing it a certain way, and you take guys like Justin Verlander out of their comfort zone, he's only pitched on short rest twice his entire career, both times in the postseason before last night. All 3 times he has not been the same guy. So it's a little bit of a first guess on the one hand, and then on the back end of this, obviously we're second-guessing this decision.
And Garrett Cole is going to get the start for the Astros for Game 5 tomorrow night. When you look at the Rays' approach, what did you like last night as the hitters were there early on and they were getting to Verlander?
Well, they realized that Verlander was keeping the ball up, so they started being aggressive off of him. When he is on and he's dotting in and out, down in the zone, you really can't hit him. But when he gets the ball up, the Rays are saying, oh, wait a second, we have a chance to score some runs here. We can put some good swings on it. So they basically told themselves, hey, the slider is up, make sure it stays up, and we're going to hammer it.
We got 2 Game 5s coming up tonight. Cannot wait to get Mark's thoughts on those as we continue here on Get Up. Coming up, Baker Mayfield and the Browns. They had a night to forget on Monday. Why this could get much worse before it gets better. Also, has Jalen Hurts moved?